Lions Nation, listen up. The countdown is on. The NFL season is getting closer and closer, and the energy in Detroit has never been this electric. The roar of our Lions is echoing across the league, and I don't know about you, but my Honolulu blue and silver heart is already pounding with pride. This isn't just another year, and this is the chance to prove that the Detroit Lions are here to dominate, to silence the critics, and to show the world that the new era has officially arrived. The buzz behind the scenes is real, the conversations are heating up, and trust me, big things are coming for this team. But before we dive in, make sure you smash that like button. Only if you're Lions through and through. Whether you've been cheering since the old school days, rocking the stands back in the 80s and 90s, or you're part of this new wave living the Lions revolution right now, you are the heartbeat of this team. Maximum respect to every single roar out there. And I want to see our pride strong in the comments. Type one pride. Let's roar even louder to show you're locked in for this journey. Now buckle up, because the first piece of news today is about to fire up the entire Lions Nation. Imagine this for a second. The Detroit Lions quietly pulled the trigger on a roster move that could reshape the depth of their secondary, and almost nobody saw it coming. The front office went out and signed safety Thomas Harper, a name that might not scream headline star at first glance, but if you dig a little deeper into his profile, you realize this addition has more weight than people give it credit for. Harper is only 24 years old, stands at 5 feet 10 inches and 189 pounds, and comes straight out of Notre Dame. His athletic profile is hard to ignore. He ran a 4.4940 and posted a ridiculous 42-inch vertical jump. Those are the kind of traits that make you stop and think. This isn't just a filler signing. This is a move that fits perfectly with what the Lions want to do on defense. Last year, Harper spent his rookie season with the Raiders. His stats weren't eye-popping. 13 solo tackles, 1 interception, 2 passes defended. But when you watch his film, you see a player who plays with intensity in man coverage and throws himself into the run game. He isn't afraid to drop into the box or slide into the slot, which is exactly the type of versatility that Aaron Glenn has been preaching for this secondary. The Lions don't just want a collection of safeties, they want chess pieces, guys who can move around and prevent the defense from being caught out of position. Harper might not be a starter yet, but as a depth piece, he's exactly what this roster needed. Let's be honest, depth at safety has been a real concern. The starting lineup feels solid, but behind them, it's been thin. By bringing in Harper, the Lions now have a safety group that feels much more stable. And while the role is clearly that of a backup for now, the beauty of this move is that Harper doesn't need to be perfect today. Detroit can develop him, harness that athleticism, and plug him in whenever the defense needs an extra spark. Remember, championship teams aren't built only on stars. They're built on depth, and Harper represents the type of insurance you absolutely need for a long season.
Now, fans have been buzzing about potential edge additions, especially after the shocking Micah Parsons trade that sent him to Green Bay. Naturally, a lot of Lions supporters started dreaming about a big-name veteran like Zadarius Smith coming to Detroit. But from everything being said inside the building, it doesn't look like Brad Holmes is planning to chase another edge right now. At least not until the trade deadline, when bad teams start selling and contenders look to buy. If that moment comes, names like Trayvon Walker or even Kayvon Thibodeau could pop up on the radar depending on how their seasons unfold. But as of today, Holmes seems committed to rolling with what they've got. Marcus Davenport, Josh Paschal, the young guys like Lacey and Wheat, and of course Aiden Hutchinson leading the charge. And speaking of the roster's strengths, one unit keeps coming up in every conversation: the linebackers. This might just be the most underrated group in the NFL right now. Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, they form a rock-solid starting trio. But what really makes this unit scary is the depth behind them. Brent Stewart has proven he can step in without missing a beat. Zach Cunningham has shown he's reliable. And let's not forget about Malcolm Rodriguez, who's coming back and will make this rotation even deeper. For opposing offenses, this depth is a nightmare. For Detroit, it's the type of security blanket that gives you confidence heading into the season. Offensively, there's another storyline Lions fans can't ignore: how John Morton is shaping the scheme. Expect to see more two-back sets, something we didn't see much of under Ben Johnson. Imagine Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery on the field at the same time, forcing defenses into impossible choices. Pair that with a heavy dose of play action and deep shots downfield, and suddenly Jameson Williams becomes a real weapon with an expanded route tree. If the offensive line holds up, this unit could be one of the most explosive in the league. Jared Goff will once again be at the center of it all, and while he doesn't have the mobility of a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen, his brain is his weapon. Goff changes plays at the line almost half the time, reads defenses with the precision of Peyton Manning, and consistently finds the open man. Call him underrated if you want, but top 10 quarterback feels like the right spot for him, somewhere around 6 or 7 in the league right now. The one lingering question hanging over everything, though, is health. Injuries are the great equalizer in the NFL, and while Detroit has managed to keep things relatively stable after some early scares, Levi Onwuzurike, Dan Jackson, Ennis Rakestraw, there's always that worry. Marcus Davenport in particular is a name that raises eyebrows because of his injury history. For now, the Lions aren't in trouble, but we all know how quickly that can change once the season ramps up. Looking ahead, the NFC North is shaping up to be a slugfest. Every team is competitive. The Bears might be the weakest of the four, projected at around 8 wins, but the Packers, Vikings, and Lions are all hovering in that 10 to 12 win range. It's going to be brutal, and these teams are going to cannibalize each other. You can forget about a 14 or 15 win season in this division. There's just too much competition. But that's what makes the Lions' depth moves, like adding Thomas Harper, so important. It's the kind of signing that doesn't make headlines today but could make a huge difference when the grind of the season wears on. So here's my question for you. Do you believe this Lions roster, with its depth at linebacker, an evolving offense, and now some extra help at safety, is finally complete enough to withstand the chaos of a full NFL season? Or do you still think Brad Holmes needs to pull the trigger on another big addition, maybe at edge, before this team can truly dominate? Because here's the thing, if you look around the league, you'll notice that the very best teams don't necessarily have the flashiest rosters from top to bottom. They have balance. And that's what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have been quietly building in Detroit. This signing of Thomas Harper may look like a minor move, but in reality, it shows us something important about the Lions' philosophy. They are no longer desperate for stars because they already have them. Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, those names are already household. What they're doing now is plugging every potential leak before it ever springs. That's what makes a team dangerous in January. Think about how the defense is being constructed. The front office isn't panicking about edge rushers even after the shocking Micah Parsons trade to Green Bay because they believe in the guys they've got. That tells you something. They're not chasing names. They're betting on development. Marcus Davenport, if he can stay healthy, is the difference maker. Josh Paschal and the rookies like Lacey and Wheat, they're the next wave. Holmes is clearly saying, we trust our locker room. And when you combine that with the fact that Aaron Glenn has one of the most versatile secondaries in the NFC, suddenly Detroit looks like a defense that can win in multiple ways. You want to run the ball? Good luck against that linebacker depth. You want to throw it deep? Their safeties can rotate, disguise coverages, and shut it down. Harper might just be the piece that allows Glenn to move guys around with even more confidence. On the other side of the ball, John Morton's fingerprints are starting to show, and honestly, it feels like the perfect evolution of what Ben Johnson built.